Welcome back to Meg's Mysteries. This story is called The Missing Piece of the Puzzle. Knock on the door of 221 Baker Street. Mrs. Hudson says, "I'm coming," and opens the door, and Dr. Watson is standing there. "Oh my, what a surprise. Good to see you, Dr. Watson." "Thank you, dear lady. I just thought I'd pop in to surprise the old boy," says Watson. "Oh, he doesn't know you were coming?" "No, I had time on my hands, and I missed you both." Watson smiles at her. "And how is Mary? Well, I hope. And that is a long way to pop in all the way from the country. Do come in." "Oh, Mary is fine and off on one of her adventures." Mrs. H says, "Well, what do we have behind you?" Dr. Watson says, "Oh, may I introduce you to Baron Ulysses Louise Lardon of York, Bully, Bully." And an old English bulldog smiles up at her. "Oh my, what a face. Is he trained?" "Oh yes," says Watson, "he's a champion." Dr. Watson, Bully, and Mrs. H go up to the second floor. Knock on Lockshear's door. "Come in, Mrs. Hudson." "Oh, who do we have here?" "My dear boy, Watson, what a surprise. And what is that?" "Oh, I'll go get tea," says Mrs. Hudson, and leaves them, saying, "Bully, you better behave." Bully hides behind Dr. Watson. Lockshear asks Watson, "Why didn't you call?" Watson says, "I wanted to surprise you, and I had time on my hands." "And why did you bring that with you?" as Lockshear looks down at Bully. "Well, we inherited him from my late Aunt Sybil. She had him, and she gave me a huge sum of money and her country home to take care of the old boy. A very generous amount of money. I was her only relative, so he's with us. He's not such a bad old boy." And then Bully laid down by Lockshear's seat. "See, he loves you," says Watson. Mrs. Hudson brings in tea and biscuits, one for Bully. "Be on your best behavior," she says to him as he gobbles it up, and then she leaves. The phone rings. "Watson, could you get that?" says Lockshear. Watson answers the phone. "Lockshear's residence." "Oh, is that you, Dr. Watson? This is Arthur. Good to see you are there, too. May I speak to Lockshear, please?" Watson hands the phone over to Lockshear. "Hello, Arthur, and what can I do for you? And how is Louisa?" "Oh, she is well, but one of my best friends, Wilbert Post, of Post Puzzles and Game Empire, is missing and feared in harm's way. My godchildren, Priscilla, Emily, and Roger, are asking for help, and only you can solve this." Lockshear asked, "Are the police involved yet?" "Yes," Arthur explains, "but they're at their wits' end. I'll fill you in." Just then Mrs. Hudson comes in with a messenger. He had tickets for a train to Oceanside Estate of Wilbur Post. Arthur says, "I see the tickets have arrived. I do hope you come as soon as possible. I beg you." Lockshear tells him we'll be there as soon as we can, and hangs up and tells Watson, "Are you ready for a new adventure? You came at the best time. The game's afoot." Mrs. Hudson looks down at Bully. "You'll be taking His Majesty along with you. I don't do dogs." So they were off on the train to Whitstable, Kent, where their driver met them at the station and took them to the Post estate. The butler greets them. "Welcome, Dr. Doyle, and the ladies are waiting for you. Follow me." And then he looks down at Bully. "May I take that?" Watson says, "He's with me." Arthur is waiting and greets them. "Good to see you both. Got here in record time. May I introduce my goddaughters, Priscilla and Emily Post." "How do you do?" says Lockshear. Priscilla is the pretty one, and she says, "Do call me Pixie. Everyone does." Emily smirks her face and says, "Yes, father named her. Such a silly name for a lady. I'm Emily, the other daughter." Watson says under his breath to Lockshear, "A bitter rivalry here. Very curious." Then Roger comes in. And this is the famous Dr. Lockshire and Dr. Watson, I presume? Arthur tells him, yes, this is my godson Roger. I told you I was close to their father, and I'm godfather to all. Priscilla cries, and yes, mother is long gone, and now only the four of us, and now father is gone. Oh, do stop your drama and those tears. Father is just missing, says Emily. Priscilla runs out of the room. Roger says, you've done it again, Emily. Arthur tells him, be nicer to your sisters. She's very delicate. And now I'll update you on the matter at hand. Lockshire says, yes, tell us all you know. Arthur says, I will show you. Follow me. They go into the conservatory where Mr. Post was last seen for the last time 2 nights ago. A large glass room full of all kinds of plants. Father comes here every night to think, has a brandy, smokes his favorite pipe. No one is allowed to disturb him. He said that's when he produces his best ideas. The police have been all over the room and found nothing, no clues, other than this. The housekeeper found it like this the next morning when she came in to clean and water the plants. They see a bench, a table with a full glass of brandy, and his pipe. On the floor it looked like some scuff marks leading nowhere, and an empty gilded bird cage. Just then Priscilla comes in with a man. Oh, excuse me for my behavior. This is my fiancé, Mr. Fabio Veltri. Roger comes in behind him. Yes, she bagged herself a real Romeo. Oh, stop it, says Emily. Roger, this is serious. Look, Father's lovebirds are gone. Where could they be? Cries Priscilla. Bully looks up and barks at the ceiling. On a branch of a large plant, the 2 birds sat. Fabio looks up. Priscilla says, how will we get them down safely? Fabio says, who cares about dumb birds? And as he says this, they send a present down on his expensive Italian suit. Oh, crap, says Roger as he laughs. Fabio is furious and wipes his shoulder off and runs out of the room. Priscilla follows him. Lockshire and Watson tell them, we'll check out the room, and then the rest leave. Lockshire whistles, and the birds fly down into their cage. He tells Watson, the pipe is incredibly old and expensive one, and those scuff marks on the floor. Looks like a fight where somebody was dragged, but where? They lead to nowhere. Bully goes to the water fountain and sniffs around. Lockshire follows and sees a large black feather near it. But the lovebirds are white. Where did this come from? Later they meet up with Arthur, and he shows them to Post's private room. Puzzles and games were everywhere, under glass domes, on tables, and all over the walls. Jigsaw puzzles displayed, crossword puzzles, books, and cryptograms, and much more. Arthur tells him this is how he made his fortune. He loves all types of games and puzzles. I guess he never grew up. He was the youngest son of Charles Post, Post Cereal Empire, who made the first cereal, Grape Nuts, we all enjoy now. Lockshire asked, did he have many enemies? Most successful men do. Arthur tells him, oh yes, the competition was fierce. Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley, new companies were always a threat. Also his own brother-in-law he had to fire. He was trying to make a deal with the competition and trading new game secrets, new info to them. Wilbur called him red-handed. The other thing was he was writing a book about a very secret society, the Black Feather Society, one of his pet projects, another love of his, ancient secret societies. You heard of the Illuminati, a secret brotherhood, and the Freemasons. Well, this is another group, and he was investigating and found evidence of his existence all around the world. The book, The Black Feather, was going to print and to be distributed soon. He went to Italy and all over Europe. That's where Priscilla met her fiancé, Fabio, and he was doing research. Emily was helping him. She knew more about it than anyone. Priscilla was his favorite for puzzles and games, but Emily was a scholar, and helped with the books and research. Only the first print was finished, and the printing factory burnt down. Only copies of the original missing 10 books were delivered on the same day he was missing. He had a delivery here that morning, and now they're nowhere to be found, just vanished like Wilbert. They were still in the puzzle room, and Lockshare noticed a large box, a Chinese puzzle box. Priscilla came in. "Oh, I see you noticed Father's prize puzzle. Only he can solve it, and many have tried." "May I?" said Lockshare. She said, "Oh, yes, do try. Good luck." Watson said, "No one else is like Lockshare," and then he began carefully to inspect it. He touched a couple of carved inscriptions and turned it around and around, hit the centerpiece, and it started to open up different drawers. Then one big drawer opened on the top, and inside a smaller box. In the center of the box, he found a piece of paper rolled up and tied with a black ribbon. It was a cryptogram. It took no time for Lockshare to decipher it. "What you see is not always what you see." He knew exactly what Post meant, and he raced off to the conservatory, to the fountain, where the black feather was found earlier. The others followed. Touching pieces of the stone on the wall foundation by the fountain, it opened up to a secret passageway behind the fountain, a long tunnel. At that time, Roger, Emily, and Priscilla and Fabio followed them in. The tunnel was the length of the whole house. Arthur had called the police earlier as requested by Lockshare. He had a feeling he would solve the case tonight and wanted the authorities to be there. They discovered a large chamber room full of books, manuscripts, and sitting by a large desk was Mr. Wilbert Post. "By Jove, you've done it. Good, you solved the case, as I knew you would." And near him was a stack of the missing books, the only copies that survived. He moved them here himself, and in his hand he had a glass of brandy. "Oh, Father, you're okay," cried Priscilla. Emily goes closer to him. "What is this all about?" Then Fabio pulls out a gun. Arthur yells, "What is this?" Arthur calmly says, "It was Fabio all along, am I right, Mr. Post? He is an assassin from the Black Feather Society, here to stop your book and you." "Yes," says Post. "He's been poisoning me slowly for a while. I saw him. I had to protect my books and my life's work, telling the world about them." Then Roger, who never did anything in his life right, hits the gun from Fabio's hand, and they struggle. Then the police arrive just in time to take Fabio down and away. "Cheers," says Post, and he drinks his glass of brandy. "I'm at my end. Goodbye, my dear loved ones. Take care of my empire, Priscilla. Emily, get the word out about my book to the world. All the papers are safe here." Then he finishes his brandy down and dies. A note in his hand. "You have my killers in hand. The poison he gave me works slowly, allowing me to make my final puzzles. So I'm so glad that you solved it. Now you have all the missing pieces of the puzzle." Arthur asked Lockshare, "How did you know it was Fabio? That he was the one?" "Elementary, my dear boy. I saw a tattoo on his neck the day the lovebirds dropped their present on his shoulder. When he wiped it off, I noticed a black feather tattoo on his neck. It was briefly exposed then he ran out of the room in a huff. Also, the Chinese cryptogram message in the box. It put it all together. Puzzle solved." Priscilla did make her father proud. She founded Post Puzzles and Games. She even made new newspaper puzzles and crossword puzzles for the papers, and even the Saturday Evening Post ran all her puzzles. Also, she invented more new games. Her best was The World of Agatha Christie, Jigsaw and Puzzle, Clue Game, and so much more. Emily continues to author more books on secret societies and the underground groups. She became a successful author. Roger finally grew up and takes care of the estate and continues his father's love of the games. He made a museum in his honor, all puzzles and games from all around the world. Lockshare and Watson and Bully are off and waiting for another adventure. Until next time, come back for more of Meg's Mysteries.